Christopher,
Yes.
please tell me, can anybody be an agent of change?
The person who can be an agent of change really has to have two priorities. One is she or he is genuinely committed to working on themselves, looking at any unhealthy, unwholesome patterns which obstruct, developing heart and mind. And the second aspect as well is a commitment to the welfare of others, including environment and including animals, the creature world. So if a person has a deep concern, inner and outer, they're suited, they're ready.
So, Christopher, when you talk about inner work, what do you mean by that?
The directing of mindfulness to the feelings, intentions, the relationship to thoughts, the whole field of experiences coming and going. So a real attention to that, which I call the inner life there, to really notice what I need to be clear about, what inside of me might need some change or some development, a relationship to oneself which is to bring the best out of oneself, and certainly to listen to what's very deep and to give that a chance to come through in creative, insightful and imaginative ways. That's what I mean by looking within.
The MTTC, the Mindfulness Teacher Training Course, Agents of Change, what is it about? What takes place in this program?
One way, definitely central to a human life, and actually creature life in a way, is love. It is the unmistakable. It is the most precious. And with love is also accompanying it is wisdom, which essentially we all wish as human beings to be loved and to be understood. This is the priority. And recognizing that is common for all of us, how can we find skillful ways in communication with others that we stay true to love and we try to understand them?
Them is
the others. So the other, and the other, of course, are the supportive and the friendly. That sense of connection and cooperation, working together, that's vital, and that isn't always so easy. It's also with strangers, people who have some interest and curiosity and who wish to engage, to be agents of change, such as in the language we use, and therefore that's creating small communities and networks of people working together. Second, and the third group of people who we find extremely challenging. It goes from the neo-Nazis and the far right to the greed and the corruption and the epidemic of consumerism, to politicians and egos and power. We need to find ways, skillful ways, to address that, to talk about it, and to see what changes need to be made in our institutions. And I think that is also an important aspect of being an agent for change.
So, in your words, what will be beneficial ways in which one can work on herself, himself?
There are several ways. One of the ways is definitely with meditation. It's one of the best contributions towards inner change. That for nearly everybody requires a meditation teacher. It requires instructions. It requires specific practices, and just learning to work with oneself and go more deeply. And that's to reduce the stress, one aspect of all of this, but also that goes with it, there is a hardness of the voice inside far too many people, which has in it self-blame, not good enough, putting oneself down, a lack of self-worth, for some suicidal and depressing thought. It's a contemporary tragedy that there are so many people who are afflicted with this negative attitude towards themselves. One person said to me on this, she said to me, the way I speak to myself, the way I put myself down and blame and attack myself, I would never tolerate anybody else saying the same thing to myself. So that's changing that, to have a sense of one's worth and presence. It means also one-to-ones, sharing. It means sharing one's experiences in the group there. It means making use of resources like nature, like we are sitting in now, and a real commitment to see what I can change and what I can cultivate and develop and free the heart and mind up. It is, after all, a liberation teaching, a freeing up, not a freeing up for me to do what I want, but a freeing up of love, of empathy, of connection, of intimacy, of understanding and wisdom. That's what we want to free up.